Did you know that, hidden in distant corners of our planet, there are animals so extraordinary that they look like characters from ancient legends? Creatures capable of regenerating limbs, birds with colors that defy reality, and prehistoric giants that still walk among us. In some places around the world, nature has created its most impressive masterpieces, beings that seem straight out of a fairy tale. And the most surprising thing? They really exist. If you think you've seen it all, get ready to discover a magical and mysterious side of wildlife. Let's embark on this journey together and explore countries that are home to these unique beings while revealing secrets that many still don't know about. Want to know where to find these enchanted creatures? Stick with me and prepare to be amazed by the unexpected. Click like and subscribe to the channel. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to enter a world where exotic, almost surreal creatures inhabit magical landscapes? Imagine yourself walking through dense forests, mountains, or distant islands, observing animals that look like they came out of a fairy tale. Each of these countries hides true gems of nature, and these incredible creatures make us believe that the impossible is real. Get ready for a journey through places that are not just in books, but in real and fascinating countries. The fascination with exotic animals is not something new. Since ancient times, travelers and explorers have reported encounters with beings so different that they seem to belong to another world. Curiosity about distant countries has always been linked to these mysterious creatures. Today, science gives us answers, but the magic remains. Each of these animals carries a story, a connection with the land they inhabit, and are often cultural or even mystical symbols. These countries, where nature still dominates, teach us the importance of preserving what is rare and unique. The biodiversity found in them is a reflection of the interaction between man and nature. Imagine seeing a lemur, a Komodo dragon, or even a bird of paradise up close. The wildlife in these places not only impresses, but makes us rethink our connection to the world around us. All of this invites us to explore more deeply the curiosity of each country. Now, let's embark on Madagascar, an island that seems to have been carved to house enchanted beings. Let's meet lemurs, these captivating creatures that move with grace, as if dancing among the trees. A place where the magic of biodiversity touches our senses in such a unique way that it makes anyone feel part of a parallel universe. Madagascar is like a fantasy setting, where nature decided to be creative and generous. This isolated island off the African coast is home to creatures that seem to belong to a magical world, and lemurs are the true ambassadors of this enchantment. These little primates move through the forests as if in a coordinated dance, their large, curious eyes always alert. When observing them, it is easy to understand why they are considered mythical creatures to locals. Madagascar's biodiversity is one of the most unique on the planet. More than 90% of the species found here exist nowhere else in the world. Imagine walking through the forests and seeing lemurs jumping from tree to tree, as if they were part of a never-to-be-repeated spectacle. This wealth makes the country a true paradise for those who are curious about countries full of wildlife. And the cultural impact of these creatures is profound. In Malagasy culture, lemurs are considered spiritual protectors. But this beauty comes with challenges. Deforestation and illegal hunting threaten this fragile ecosystem. Several conservation efforts have been started to protect these enchanting beings, but the battle is constant. If you ever dream of visiting Madagascar, know that you will not only be seeing something beautiful, but also something incredibly vulnerable. A simple walk through its forests is a way to support the conservation of its unique fauna. As we leave Madagascar, nature continues to surprise us. Now, let's cross the oceans and land in Australia, a land where kangaroos, koalas, and platypuses create a spectacle of life that is as strange as it is fascinating. Prepare to enter a territory where reality seems to distort, and the creatures are almost surreal. Australia is a world apart, where nature plays with its creations, challenging what we know as normal. In this country, everything seems exaggerated, different, almost surreal. Kangaroos jumping with grace, koalas hugging the trees as if they were stuffed animals, and the platypus, an animal so strange that it looks like a poorly created collage by nature itself. As we explore Australia, we are reminded that the planet still holds fascinating secrets, and that in some places, reality is stranger than fiction. Among the most iconic creatures, the platypus stands out as a true anomaly. An egg-laying mammal with a duck's bill and beaver's tail, swimming calmly through Australian streams. It's almost impossible to believe that it really exists, but it is there, defying all the rules of biology and teaching us that nature has its own sense of humor. Who could have imagined that such a peculiar animal would become one of the country's greatest symbols of curiosity? But it's not just the cute animals that define Australia. This country is also home to some of the most venomous and dangerous creatures in the world. Deadly snakes, giant spiders, and jellyfish capable of paralyzing a human being in seconds. Australia teaches us that beauty can go hand in hand with danger, and that in such a vast and untamed place, the challenges of nature are part of the package. Visiting these lands means accepting the fascination with the unknown, but also respect for the forces that govern these creatures. And, speaking of respect, we can't help but explore the islands of New Zealand, where legendary birds dominate the sky and land. Let's discover the kiwi and the kakapo, birds that have a history as enigmatic as the geography of this isolated land. New Zealand is a land of unparalleled natural beauty, where the mountains seem to touch the sky, and the lakes reflect landscapes that could very well belong to another dimension. In the midst of this breathtaking scenery, we find creatures that are as peculiar as they are fascinating. Birds. And here, they are not just ordinary birds, but beings that seem to have been sculpted by legend. The kiwi, for example, is almost a national symbol, with its inability to fly and nocturnal behavior, looking like a creature out of a dream. The kiwi is more than a bird. It represents the spirit of New Zealand. Small, discreet, but incredibly resilient. He may appear fragile at first glance, but his ability to survive in a challenging environment is impressive. Like many aspects of New Zealand nature, the kiwi teaches that the biggest or strongest are not always the ones who dominate. Its discreet presence is a reminder that the greatest curiosities about countries can be found in the little things, in the creatures that go unnoticed to the inattentive eye. But the kiwi is not alone in its mystery. The kakapo, another bird native to New Zealand, is a true jewel of the world's fauna. Imagine a giant parrot that doesn't fly, that lives on the ground, and that, instead of escaping from predators, simply freezes. It's almost impossible not to marvel at this creature. The kakapo is rare and endangered, making every sighting a privilege. Its history is also the history of preservation and respect for nature, something that New Zealand takes very seriously. Now, we leave the land of mythical birds and enter a territory where fantasy becomes even more intense. In Indonesia, we met the legendary Komodo dragon, a creature that makes us rethink the limits between what is real and what belongs to the world of fantasy. A predator that walks the earth like a figure out of an epic book. Indonesia is an archipelago of mysteries and tropical beauty, where nature has created its own rules. In the middle of these lush islands, we find a creature that challenges the imagination, the Komodo dragon. When you see it up close, it's hard not to think that we're looking at a beast straight out of a medieval legend. Its imposing size and fierce look make this predator one of the most feared and respected in the world. He doesn't fly, he doesn't breathe fire, but his presence is as intimidating as any fantasy dragon. The Komodo dragon is a true masterpiece of nature. This reptile can grow up to 3 meters long and has a lethal bite, loaded with bacteria that cause fatal infections. The survival of these animals in an environment as isolated as the islands of Komodo and Rinca makes them unique examples of adaptation and resilience. When we talk about curiosity about countries, the Komodo dragon is one of the greatest representations of what Indonesia has to offer. A world where the exotic and the real mix in surprising ways. However, the presence of these giants is threatened. Habitat destruction and illegal hunting put the Komodo dragon at risk. Indonesia, aware of the importance of this iconic creature, has been working on conservation measures, but the balance is delicate. For those who dream of visiting these islands, there is a mixed feeling of fascination and urgency. We are not only facing one of the greatest curiosities of a country, but also one of the most beautiful examples of biodiversity that could disappear if not protected. Now, from Indonesia, we head to another biodiversity paradise, where colorful and vibrant creatures dance through the rainforests of Costa Rica. Get ready to meet frogs that look like living jewels and birds that bring with them the magic of wildlife. Costa Rica is a true haven for nature lovers. Its tropical forests are home to such rich biodiversity that it's easy to feel like you're in a fairy tale, where every tree and every river seems to hide nature's secrets. Dendrobatid frogs, for example, are small but so vibrant and colorful that they look like living jewels leaping from branch to branch. Its colors shine in the sunlight, as if to remind us that life can be incredibly beautiful and dangerous at the same time. These little frogs are not only beautiful natural adornments, but also dangerous. Their bodies contain potent poisons, used as defense against predators. They are a perfect symbol of Costa Rican nature, enchanting but always full of surprises. To explore this country is to discover that the wildlife here doesn't follow conventional rules, and every encounter is an opportunity to witness something extraordinary. Curiosity about countries like this always leads to a dive into their biodiversity, and Costa Rica does not disappoint. But it's not just frogs that capture our attention. The Quetzal bird, with its long emerald green feathers and vibrant red breast, is a true work of living art. Considered sacred by the ancient Mayan people, the Quetzal is revered to this day. Finding it in its natural habitat is like discovering treasure hidden in the forest. The presence of these creatures makes us reflect on how the natural world is interconnected with the culture and spirituality of local people, reinforcing the value of protecting this legacy. After getting lost in the forests of Costa Rica, we headed to a place that seems to be at the end of the world. Iceland, with its frozen landscapes and creatures that defy extreme conditions, will show us that even in the ice there can be magic and wildlife worthy of fascination. Iceland is a land of contrasts, where the fire of volcanoes meets the ice of glaciers, creating a landscape that seems to have been sculpted by the gods. And in the middle of this almost extraterrestrial landscape, there live creatures that have adapted to the extreme in a unique way. Icelandic horses, for example, are unlike any other horse in the world. Smaller and more robust, with impressive resistance, they seem to have been designed to survive in this inhospitable environment. Their elegant movements contrast with the hardness of the frozen ground, as if they float between reality and fantasy. Horses are not only impressive for their beauty, but also for their importance in Icelandic culture. For centuries, they have been the faithful companions of the inhabitants of this land, helping with transportation and hard work in harsh climates. The respect and connection that the Icelandic people have with these animals is deep, and even today, they are strictly protected. Curiosity about countries like Iceland always leads us to understand that the relationship between man and nature here is more than simple coexistence. It is a symbiosis. In addition to horses, Iceland is home to wildlife adapted to extreme cold, where Arctic foxes and reindeer thrive. However, it is the presence of sea creatures such as whales that truly leave visitors speechless. The spectacle of seeing these ocean giants in the icy Icelandic waters is something that transcends the ordinary. Iceland reminds us that even in the coldest, most isolated regions of the world, life flourishes in unexpected ways, defying the harshest conditions. And now, we travel to the Galapagos Islands, a place that has inspired theories that change the course of science. There, we will see creatures that seem to have stopped in time, in a world where evolution has followed its own path. The Galapagos Islands are like a natural laboratory, where life has evolved in ways so unique they seem to defy logic. It was here that Charles Darwin found inspiration for his theory of evolution, observing animals that exist nowhere else on the planet. Giant turtles are an emblematic example of this scenario. They move slowly, as if time were irrelevant to their existence. Their shells, true fortresses, seem to carry the secrets of Earth's history in every crack. These turtles are not only impressive for their size, but also for their longevity. They can live for over 100 years, making them silent witnesses to changes that we humans can barely imagine. Walking alongside them is like going back in time, to an era when life followed a very different rhythm. Curiosity about countries that are home to creatures like these always leads to reflection on the fragility and resilience of life on our planet. In addition to turtles, the marine iguanas of the Galapagos are a fascinating sight. These reptiles, with an almost prehistoric appearance, have adapted to swimming and feeding in the ocean, something rare for a lizard. Their dark skin contrasts with the crystal-clear waters, creating a scene that looks like something out of a science fiction film. The presence of these animals on the islands reinforces the feeling that the Galapagos is a place where nature has experimented with its own creations, without worrying about regulations. Now, we have left these science-defying islands to venture into a land where animals are seen as sacred beings. In Japan, deer and monkeys inhabit landscapes as beautiful as the legends that surround them. Japan is a country where the sacred and the natural intertwine in a profound way, and this connection is reflected in its animals. In Nara, for example, deer are considered divine messengers and roam freely through parks and temples, as if they were part of the spiritual fabric of the land. These deer, with their calm eyes and graceful movements, evoke a peace that transcends the simple act of observing them. They remind us that in Japan, nature is not just admired, but revered. Snow monkeys, on the other hand, inhabit the icy mountains of Jigokudani and have become world-renowned for their relaxing baths in the natural hot springs. Watching them soak in the hot springs while snow falls around them is like watching a scene from another world. This vision, which combines the rigor of winter with the comfort of water, perfectly reflects the balance that Japan seeks between tradition and modernity, between nature and technology. The Japanese people's relationship with their animals is not limited to contemplation. It is a spiritual connection. Many local legends and mythologies involve sacred creatures that guide and protect humans. Respect for these creatures is deeply rooted in Japanese culture, and this is reflected in the care and preservation of their habitats. Curiosity about countries like Japan always reveals this harmony between man and the beings that share the world with him. Now we head to a distant land, where Papua New Guinea's birds of paradise defy the standards of natural beauty with their vibrant feathers and elaborate dances. These birds are a sight to behold, and their existence makes us question how far nature can go in creating living masterpieces. Papua New Guinea is a place where nature has decided to express itself in the most vibrant way possible. The birds of paradise are, without a doubt, the greatest proof of this. With their lush feathers and colors so intense they seem unreal, they stand out as true living masterpieces. Their mating dances are spectacles in themselves, with precise, almost choreographed movements that leave any observer in awe. They are birds that transcend the ordinary, transforming the act of survival into an art. These birds are not only beautiful, but also incredibly adapted to their environment. They use their colors and movements to attract mates, but also to camouflage themselves in dense tropical forests. Its feathers, which appear to have been hand-painted, are a reminder that nature is the greatest artist of all. In Papua New Guinea, seeing a bird of paradise in its natural habitat is a privilege that few have, and this is part of the country's curiosity that attracts explorers and naturalists from all over the world. The relationship between the inhabitants of Papua New Guinea and birds of paradise is equally fascinating. For many local tribes, these birds are not only beautiful, but also have great spiritual significance. Their feathers are used in traditional ceremonies, and rituals surrounding birds of paradise are a way of celebrating the connection with the divine. For the people of Papua, these birds represent the balance between earthly life and spirituality, reinforcing the importance of nature in their way of life. Leaving the rainforests of Papua New Guinea, we now travel to the vast, dense forests of Canada, where bears and moose dominate the landscapes. These giants of fauna show us that nature, in its most imposing forms, can be equally enchanting and intimidating. Canada is a vast country, where the forests seem to stretch infinitely, creating a scenery worthy of fairy tales. It is in these enchanted forests that polar bears, moose, and black bears roam freely, as if they were guardians of a wild kingdom. Elk, with their huge branched antlers, are symbols of strength and endurance. Walking through these forests and having the chance to spot a moose is like being transported to a reality where animals rule the land silently, in perfect harmony with nature. Polar bears, in turn, are the rulers of Canada's frozen north. These majestic creatures are perfectly adapted to the extreme climate, moving with grace across vast expanses of ice. Their presence commands respect, and the idea of seeing them in their natural habitat awakens a mix of fascination and fear. They are a reminder that in the most challenging regions of the planet, wildlife continues to thrive, even in the face of climate change and adversity. Canada is a true sanctuary for these creatures, where isolation protects them from many external threats. On the other hand, Canada's dense forests hide subtler secrets, like the red foxes and beavers, which work tirelessly to build their dams. The beaver, in fact, is a national symbol, representing Canadian perseverance and ingenuity. Curiosity about countries like Canada often involves exploring these aspects of the local fauna, where each animal, no matter how small, plays an essential role in maintaining this balanced and vibrant ecosystem. Now, we travel to Norway, where under the glow of the northern lights, reindeer and elk take us to a land where Norse myths and legends intertwine with wildlife. Get ready to discover a magical side of nature that lives in the frozen lands of the north. Norway is a place where heaven and earth seem to merge in a spectacle of colors and life. Under the magical glow of the northern lights, reindeer and elk roam the northern forests and plains as if they were guardians of an enchanted kingdom. Reindeer, in particular, are symbols of resistance and wisdom in Nordic cultures, being an essential part of the lives of the Sami people, who have accompanied them on their migrations for centuries. The sight of these majestic creatures, beneath the dancing lights of the sky, is like watching a scene from an ancient myth come to life. Reindeer have a deep spiritual connection with the people who inhabit these regions. They are not only a source of sustenance, but also part of Norway's cultural imagination. Their ability to navigate the vast icy landscapes and their ability to survive in the intense cold inspire stories of resistance and overcoming. For those seeking curiosity about countries, understanding the relationship between reindeer and the Sami people, reveals a Norway that goes beyond its impressive landscapes, delving into the oldest traditions. Elks, in turn, are true giants of the Norwegian forests. With their huge horns, they walk calmly through the forests as if they were the true lords of these lands. Finding them in nature is a privilege that few have, and it is impossible not to feel small in front of their grandeur. They are a reminder that even in the remotest and coldest parts of the world, life thrives in its grandest and most fascinating form. Now, let's cross the ocean to Brazil, where the biodiversity of the Amazon awaits us with a fauna that seems to have come out of a legend, where the pink dolphin and the jaguar reign as almost mythological beings in the tropical forests. The Amazon is a world apart, where nature presents itself in its most exuberant and mystical form. Among the gigantic trees and immense rivers, there lives a fauna so diverse and enchanting that it seems to have come out of a legend. The pink dolphin, for example, is one of the most mysterious creatures in Amazonian waters. Shrouded in legends and superstitions, this freshwater dolphin is often seen as a magical entity, capable of transforming into a human according to local folklore. Its pink color and playful behavior make it a true ambassador of the beauty and mystery of the Amazon. The jaguar, on the other hand, is the sovereign predator of tropical forests. Majestic, silent, and lethal, she is the queen of shadows, moving with a grace few creatures possess. Their presence commands respect, and coming across their tracks in the jungle is like feeling the presence of an ancestral guardian of nature. For many indigenous communities, the jaguar is more than an animal. It is a symbol of power and connection with the spirit of the forest. Curiosity about countries like Brazil often revolves around the richness of their legends and the spiritual connection that people have with these incredible beings. We cannot forget the smaller, but no less fascinating creatures, such as the giant anteater. With its eccentric appearance and unique habits, this animal is one of the Amazon's hidden treasures. It walks through forests with its long tongue and sharp claws, playing a fundamental role in balancing the ecosystem, controlling populations of ants and termites. Every detail of this vibrant fauna reminds us of the complexity and interdependence that characterize the Amazon, a true biodiversity paradise. Now, we leave the tropical exuberance of Brazil to explore the plains and jungles of India, where the Bengal tiger and sacred elephants await us, revealing a fauna that is as rich as it is mysterious. India is a land where the sacred and the natural intertwine in a unique way. Here, animals are not just part of the ecosystem. Many of them are venerated as divine beings. The Bengal tiger, with its penetrating gaze and majestic bearing, is the true ruler of the Indian jungles. Although imposing and feared, it also carries spiritual symbolism, representing strength, power, and protection. The simple roar of a tiger echoing through the forests is enough to remind anyone of its commanding presence, and spotting one in its natural habitat is an experience that leaves anyone breathless. Indian elephants are also symbols of devotion and spirituality. Considered sacred in Hinduism, they are often seen in temples, representing the god Ganesha, the remover of obstacles. The elephant, with its intelligence and complex social behavior, is revered as a being that connects the physical and spiritual worlds. He is a bridge between humans and the gods, and his presence in Indian rituals and festivities reinforces the importance of these animals in the country's culture. Curiosity about countries like India reveals that here, animals are more than creatures. They are part of the spiritual and cultural legacy. But India is also the land of the peacock, an explosion of mystical colors that enchants anyone who sees it dance. Its vibrant feathers open like fans in a spectacle of seduction and beauty that has made it the country's national bird. The peacock is not only beautiful, but also carries deep meanings, being associated with immortality and renewal. It is present in ancient stories, arts, and religion, making it a symbol of pride for Indians. Now, we leave India and its sacred animals to explore the savannas of South Africa, where the Big Five dominate the landscape and show us the most imposing and mysterious wild side of animal life. South Africa is a land where nature shows its wildest and grandest face. Here, the Big Five, lions, elephants, rhinos, buffaloes, and leopards, dominate the savannas and forests, creating a spectacle of power and grandeur. The lion, known as the king of the jungle, is the most iconic figure, with its majestic mane and imposing posture. Seeing a lion in its natural habitat is an unforgettable experience, which awakens a mix of fascination and respect. He is the symbol of brute strength and animal royalty. The African elephant, in turn, is the largest land mammal and a true wonder of nature. Its imposing fangs and calm presence hide a surprising emotional intelligence. These giants walk slowly across the plains, forming deep family bonds and showing an empathy rarely seen in the animal kingdom. The conservation of elephants in South Africa is a vital issue, as they face constant threats, mainly from illegal hunting for ivory. Curiosity about countries like South Africa often revolves around these giant animals, which carry with them an aura of mysticism and power. The rhino, another member of the Big Five, is a creature of extraordinary strength, but also faces the constant danger of extinction. Its thick skin and enormous tusks make it a living fortress, but even with all this grandeur, it is at the mercy of poaching. South Africa has been the scene of intense battles for the preservation of these animals, with protection initiatives becoming increasingly urgent. Meeting a rhino in its natural environment is a reminder that wildlife is precious and often vulnerable. As we leave South Africa and its majestic wildlife, we travel to Ecuador, where the fog hides creatures as small as they are surprising. Hummingbirds, with their agile movements, will show us that nature has the ability to create beauty on all scales. In the heart of Ecuador, there is a world shrouded in mystery and mist, the cloud forest. Here, the constant humidity creates an almost magical environment where plants and animals seem to float among the clouds. And among these creatures is the small and fast hummingbird, a true miracle of nature. With its wings beating at high speed, the hummingbird appears to defy the laws of physics, hovering in the air while feeding on nectar from flowers. Its delicate beauty and quick movements transform each sighting into a unique moment of admiration. These tiny birds, although fragile at first glance, are symbols of resilience. The hummingbird is capable of traveling great distances, facing the adverse conditions of the forest. He is a clear example of how nature creates its own forms of survival and prosperity. Curiosity about countries like Ecuador often centers on how such small creatures can have such a huge impact on local biodiversity. The hummingbird, with its vibrant colors, is living proof that nature is capable of creating wonders on any scale. Ecuador's cloud forest also hides other fascinating creatures, such as glass frogs, which have skin so translucent that their internal organs can be seen with the naked eye. These frogs live in harmony with the humid environment and camouflage themselves among the leaves and branches. The biodiversity of the cloud forest is a true treasure, full of secrets that only reveal themselves to the attentive eye. Every step taken in this environment is an invitation to discover new wonders, and the inhabitants of this magical forest never cease to surprise. Now, we leave the cloud forest of Ecuador and head to Mexico, where supernatural-looking creatures inhabit the jungles and lakes. Get ready to meet the axolotl, an amphibian that defies the rules of biology and arouses the curiosity of scientists and visitors. Mexico is a land of contrasts, where nature seems to intertwine with the supernatural. In the waters of the country's lakes and caves lives the axolotl, a creature so peculiar that it challenges the limits of what we understand about the animal kingdom. This amphibian, capable of regenerating limbs and maintaining its youthful characteristics throughout its life, looks more like a science fiction creation than a real creature. The axolotl is, without a doubt, one of the most mysterious beings in the world, inspiring local legends and myths that place it in an almost divine status. The fascination with the axolotl goes beyond its exotic appearance. It is the subject of study by scientists seeking to understand its incredible regenerative abilities, hoping to apply this knowledge to human medicine. This curiosity about countries like Mexico reveals that, amid its unique biodiversity, there are creatures that transcend current scientific knowledge. For local inhabitants, the axolotl is seen as a sacred being, a guardian of the waters and forests that surround it. In addition to the axolotl, Mexico is also home to majestic eagles that soar over its mountains and plains. The golden eagle in particular carries deep historical symbolism, being part of the country's coat of arms and representing the nation's strength and power. These powerful predators are revered not only for their grandeur, but also for their role in the traditions and mythologies of pre-Columbian peoples. Seeing an eagle in full flight over the Mexican skies is like witnessing a living piece of the country's history. Now, we head towards the dense jungles of Malaysia, where intelligent and mysterious primates such as orangutans await us. Prepare to dive into a world where apes are the true kings of the forests, challenging our understanding of animal intelligence. Malaysia is a true sanctuary for the most intelligent and fascinating primates on the planet. In the dense forests of Borneo, orangutans reign as the masters of the trees. These apes are remarkably intelligent, able to use tools and solve complex problems, often challenging the notion that humans are the only creatures with superior cognitive abilities. Their deep, expressive eyes carry a silent wisdom, and watching them is like seeing a reflection of human evolution itself. Orangutans, with their long arms and graceful movements, spend most of their time in treetops, building nests and foraging for fruit. They are solitary but highly adaptable creatures, and their relationship with their environment is an example of the incredible resilience of wildlife. However, the destruction of their habitat due to deforestation represents a constant threat. Curiosity about countries like Malaysia shows us that there is much more at stake than just admiring the beauty of these primates. It is also a call for urgent conservation. In addition to orangutans, Malaysia is also home to other species of exotic primates such as proboscis monkeys. These primates are easily recognizable by their long noses and unique social behaviors. Their group interactions, full of communication and mutual care, demonstrate a complex system of social life. Exploring the forests of Malaysia is an invitation to witness these creatures in their most natural and fascinating state. Now, we leave the forests of Malaysia and head to Argentina, where the pampas and mountains will reveal impressive animals such as the Andean condor and the enigmatic puma, showing the wild side of the South American highlands. Argentina, with its vast plains and towering mountains, is a place where wildlife thrives in unexpected ways. In the skies of the Andes Mountains, the Andean condor reigns as the world's largest bird of prey. With its enormous wings, which can reach a wingspan of 3 meters, the condor is a majestic sight, gliding over the mountain winds as if it were the guardian of the sky. Its flight is slow, almost hypnotic, and seeing this giant in its natural habitat is an experience that awakens admiration and respect. In the most arid regions, such as the Pampas and mountain altitudes, we find guanacos and vicuñas. Adapted to difficult terrain and extreme climates, these animals are symbols of resilience and strength. They move gracefully through the desolate landscapes as if they are an inseparable part of the environment. For indigenous peoples, these animals have a special value, and their skins and fibers are highly valued for their quality and durability. Curiosity about countries like Argentina often revolves around these encounters with creatures that defy the extreme conditions of nature. And then there's the enigmatic puma, one of South America's stealthiest predators. This big cat is rarely seen by humans, which only adds to the mystery surrounding its presence in the mountains and forests of Argentina. Its ability to hunt silently and camouflage itself in a variety of environments makes it a formidable predator, and, at the same time, a symbol of the wild nature that still thrives in isolated regions. The very idea that a cougar could be lurking in the shadows of a cliff evokes both fear and fascination. Now we leave the vast plains of Argentina and head to the boreal forests of Finland, where wolves, bears, and reindeer walk in the bitter cold, revealing the wildlife of one of the world's most challenging environments. Finland, with its dense forests and harsh winters, is a place where the wildlife seems to have come straight from the pages of ancient Norse legends. Deep in these icy forests, gray wolves move along the trails nimbly, like silent shadows hunting in packs. Wolves are often associated with myths and folklore in Finland, seen as both symbols of courage and bringers of mystery. Encountering them in their natural habitat is a reminder that even in the coldest and most remote regions, wildlife continues to thrive with strength and determination. Bears, on the other hand, are the giants of these forests. Majestic and imposing, they hibernate during the harshest winter months, awakening only when spring begins to melt the ice. Bears are revered in Finnish folklore as guardians of the forest and represent strength and resilience. Seeing a bear walking through the forest, looking for food or shelter, is like seeing the very essence of Finnish nature in motion, a balance between power and serenity. Curiosity about countries like Finland reveals these deep connections between their animals and their traditions. Reindeer, famous for their role in Christmas imagery, are essential for the indigenous Sami people who inhabit northern Finland. They are more than just working animals. They are an integral part of the culture and subsistence of these people. Reindeer traverse the snowy landscapes with unique grace, pulling sleds or grazing in the silence of the forests. For Finns, the presence of these animals evokes a feeling of harmony with nature, where human beings and animals coexist in mutual respect. Now, we travel to Egypt, where the arid desert holds creatures as old as civilization itself. Peregrine falcons and camels show us how wildlife flourishes even in the most inhospitable regions of the planet. Egypt is a land marked by the grandeur of its ancient civilizations and the vastness of its relentless desert. In this arid and apparently sterile scenario, there live creatures that defy the extreme conditions of the environment, such as the peregrine falcon. This swift predator not only reigns in the skies of Egypt, but also carries deep symbolism in Egyptian culture. Associated with the god Horus, the falcon is seen as a direct connection between the gods and the pharaohs, and its image is a constant reminder of the link between nature and spirituality of this ancient civilization. Camels, on the other hand, are the true kings of the desert. Perfectly adapted to withstand scorching heat and water scarcity, they are symbols of survival and resistance. Desert Bedouins have depended on these animals for centuries, using them as transportation and a source of sustenance. The camel, with its slow and steady gait, crosses the endless dunes with a tranquility that seems to defy the forces of nature. Curiosity about countries like Egypt reveals that, in addition to its magnificent monuments, there is also a deep respect for the animals that helped shape life in this hostile terrain. The fauna of Egypt would not be complete without mentioning the creatures that inhabit the Nile River, such as crocodiles. These ruthless predators were once revered as gods in the form of Sobek, the crocodile god, who symbolized power and fertility. The Nile, with its vital waters, is a haven for wildlife that, over the centuries, has maintained a mystical connection with the Egyptian people. To this day, the river is a reminder of civilization's dependence on its wildlife and how animals play an essential role in the country's survival and beliefs. Now, we leave Egypt and its mythical creatures to conclude our journey with animals that look like they came out of fairy tales. Let's reflect on how nature, in all its most remote corners, reveals its beauty and mystery through these extraordinary creatures. Along this journey, we explore some of the most fascinating places on the planet, where animals that look like they came out of fairy tales actually live among us. These creatures, so unique and extraordinary, remind us that nature has an infinite capacity to surprise and delight. Each country, with its unique fauna, has shown us that biodiversity is not only a source of beauty, but also of mystery. Seeing a Komodo dragon, axolotl or bird of paradise in their natural habitat is like witnessing the magic of life itself unfolding before our eyes. These distant and exotic animals are not only examples of nature's creativity, but also symbols of the deep connection we have with the wild world. Curiosity about countries leads us to discover these creatures, and each of them teaches us something about adaptation, survival, and harmony with the environment. Every detail of their lives and behaviors makes us reflect on how the simplest forms of life can contain the deepest secrets of the earth. These species inspire us to protect and preserve our natural world so that this beauty is never lost. But the magic of global fauna also reminds us of the fragility of this balance. Many of the animals we exploit are threatened, whether by deforestation, climate change, or human action. The beauty of these creatures demands responsibility and care from us, because without our preservation actions, these true fairy tale characters could disappear forever. Conservation is key to ensuring that future generations can experience the same awe that we felt upon meeting these creatures. And so, we have reached the end of this journey, but the exploration of wildlife continues. The world is vast, and there are still many animals and mysteries to be discovered. Each creature we encounter leaves us with a silent invitation to explore more, learn more, and care more for the nature that surrounds us.
Hey explorers, if you love discovering the amazing curiosities and stories we share here on Exploring Nations, how about supporting the channel with just $1? This small gesture can make a big difference and is essential to keep this content going. Without your support, our journey might be cut short. And there's more. When you shop on Amazon, use our special link. It costs you nothing extra, plus you get an exclusive discount and it helps us out a lot. The links for donations and Amazon are pinned in the first comment. Don't let this adventure stop, we're counting on you. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and drop us a comment.